Hi everybody. I am going to be making a sauce of which I cannot pronounce tonight, arrabiata, spicy marinara. I never made it before, so you're going to be watching as I learn as well. I have a recipe online I'm following as a guide, but I like to change things around to suit my tastes. So I could just use a regular jarred sauce, but what is the fun in that? Plus, there's sugar in it, so I'm going to be doing the sauce without the sugar, so it will be some of the flavor won't be there that might be in the jarred sauce, but I don't think that it will be lacking in flavor with the spices that I'm using. So the first step I have to do is cut up the onion. I have garlic, and I'm using a poblano pepper. I buy garlic already peeled because it's a pain to peel garlic, and I use a lot of garlic, so this bag is going to actually go pretty quick. So I'm going to chop up my onion, my poblano, and the garlic. Catch you back here in a sec. First step, it says on my recipe, which I am going to follow, is to saute the onion and garlic. Now, since they are not using fresh peppers at all in this recipe, I'm going to put the poblanos in at the same time because I don't think it'll be a big deal. Now, I don't really measure. By the way, John is like the guru of research, and he researched a lot about olive oils and how I guess a lot of olive oils that they sell in the US that are claimed to be extra virgin olive oils is not actually true olive oil, which I would need him to explain to me one more time to understand what it means, but I trust him because I do. So he did look up that this brand, the Goya extra virgin olive oil, is actually real olive oil. So anyhow, I started buying this, and I do notice a slight flavor difference, better flavor. Okay, so we put a couple of tablespoons in, and we'll start the pot. Okay, I apologize you can't see what's in here. I'll try to get a better angle and show you, but I just wanted to note that while the onion, garlic, and poblano are sauteing in the oil, doesn't usually say in recipes, but I like to season it in layers. I've read somewhere, especially if you're using dry spices, that if you get it in with the oil will kind of moisten it and bring back its flavor, because when it's dry, it doesn't really have the same flavor as if it's fresh herbs. So even still, I would imagine that works the same for anything. Salt and pepper. I also added some Italian seasoning, which I would put in any marinara. Now, the other reason I like to put the spices in now is because which the next step is to put the tomatoes and the paste in. Once that in, it's actually not cooking the spices, or even at the end, if you wait till the end, it doesn't infuse throughout because it's not cooking. It's just being heated up in the sauce that's already made. So in theory, this will get the flavor throughout because you're infusing the onion, garlic, the oil, and the peppers. All right, John is on a call, so I had to keep my voice down. I'm adding basil, which I buy in Publix. Just buy the herbs, the fresh herbs. This is the next best thing to fresh herbs. It keeps in the fridge, and it's not dried. It's still moist, but it lasts a little longer than if you just buy the fresh herbs and chop them yourself. Next, I'm adding the canned tomatoes, which I put in the blender to get rid of the chunks. It's actually stewed tomatoes, which does have some sugar in it, so that's why I don't add any sugar to the sauce. Tomato paste. Now, it looks like I'm using quite a lot, but I'm actually only using half the can. You don't want to use the whole thing unless you want it thicker, but if maybe you're making a pizza sauce, you might want to use the whole can. But this is a pasta sauce, so we don't want to use the whole thing. I don't need it to be that thick. So just gonna mix it up, and gotta add some more salt and pepper because I do, like I said, like to layer the flavors. First, I'm going to add some balsamic vinegar. So this recipe said to add red wine and lemon and vinegar, but I don't have any red wine. So I've seen other recipes before with balsamic vinegar, so I thought I'd try that. So I don't need the lemon or the white vinegar since balsamic vinegar is the acid in this case. So like I said, the salt and pepper I'm adding. Now we're going to mix it up, bring it to a boil, and then drop it down a little bit just so it doesn't, splatter everywhere. And I got my chopped meat. You can use chopped turkey. You can use ground chicken. I like to use the lean ground beef because it gives it more flavor. So don't add any fat when you're cooking it because it already has fat. Obviously, you have to drain it. Okay, so the sauce, here I added parsley, which is the same kind of consistency as that basil that I added before. I'm going to add that to the chopped meat because this is going to be my stuffing for the stuffed peppers. So I want it nice and moist because it might dry out in the oven if you just put the sauce on top. I want the sauce to kind of be throughout the meat since it is going to be in the oven for probably about 45 minutes. So you want it to be super moist, super duper moist. So there is a little bit of fat liquid that I did have to get rid of that you didn't see me do there. Okay, so here are my peppers. I put them in a loaf pan just so they stand up and don't fall over. Of course, I line it with foil and spray it with Pam. I'm now going to stuff my peppers, and I'm going to put enough stuffing in to fill it to the top so that there's two nice filled stuffed peppers. So either they could both eat in one sitting, which usually is what I give John, or if I eat myself, I'll just have one and then some of the pasta. But since I'm giving the butternut squash, he'll just get one tonight. If he doesn't like the butternut squash, this is my backup plan. He can have the other one. Just put a little sprinkle of grated Parmesan. I do have fresh Parmesan wedge that I could grate too. It'll be less processed that way, but for quickness, I just used the Kraft. Okay, we're going to pop in the oven. I put it in. I got impatient. It didn't heat up all the way, but it should be at 375, and I'm going to put it in for 30 minutes and then check on progress. Most likely it'll need more time. All right, so I needed to show off my new pasta maker. Well, it's not new. I've had it for quite a while now, but this machine is amazing. I can make fresh pasta from scratch and control what I put in it. So my daughter, who loves pasta like any good Italian little girl, I'm not Italian, but she is, so I make it fresh for her. And now she's spoiled and prefers it over the processed stuff that comes in a box. I don't make it all the time when I give her pasta, though. It's too much work. But this thing, I mean, if you're going to do it from scratch, this is the way to go. I mean, just look how easily it just comes out of the machine. I mean, I should, advertise for this machine. I just love it so much. You do have to, put flour on it when it comes out because it does take a while for the whole quantity to make a full batch, and while you're waiting for the next strand to come out, they will stick together. So that's what you'll see me putting on is some flour and just trying to let it separate a little while we're waiting for it to be finished. So that's going to be Joanna's, and yes, I'm going to have... I just want to show you partway through cooking. It's only been 20 minutes. I am going to cook it longer, but see how it's still bright green? It's probably still got a little bit of crunch. You can cook it till how you want the peppers, but we like them cooked more. Till they're like a dull, darker green and softer for sure. It is time to cook the butternut squash noodles. So I'm going to, heat up the pan and use some olive oil to cook it in. I did notice there's a slight, like, acidic almost flavor to the butternut squash raw, like maybe they used lemon or something to keep it fresh. You don't want to let it sit in your fridge a while. You should really cook it as soon as possible after you buy it, if you buy it already pre-made. I was just trying to see how my new cooking chopsticks worked. They work well, but it's hard to do while I'm holding the phone, so tongs it is. That's really the best utensil I can use for these. So I'm going to saute it until they're soft, kind of like however you would want your pasta. If you like it al dente, cook it to al dente. If, judge it by that. Okay, so my stuffed peppers have finished cooking enough that it is time to add my mozzarella, which I'm going to put on top like I would if I was making chicken parm, let's say. Just adds an extra layer of goodness. So I buy the part skim, the low fat, and tastes just the same. So I'm just going to put some on top of each one, and I'm just going to pop it back in the oven for just a little while. Oh, let me go check first. Yes, I forgot to put sauce on it before I put the cheese, just to re-moisten the top part a little because it did get a little dried out. So it doesn't matter what order you do it, put the sauce on top of the cheese. That's what they do with the pizza, by the way. L&B Pizza in New York, they do the sauce on top of the cheese. Just saying, can be done. Okay, so now we're gonna take this, pop it back into the oven. So this did actually only cook for 30 minutes, and it was perfect. So now I'm going to put it in for another 10 minutes, just enough to melt the cheese. Okay, that's really the only purpose. And the noodles are gonna cook some more, and I am going to add the sauce to the noodles once it gets to the texture that I want. So I'm just going ahead and putting the rest of the sauce that I made earlier and mixing it in. So this will replace regular pasta for John and mostly for myself. Yes, I did cheat a little and ate some of the homemade pasta, but I can't resist. It's just really good. It's okay to do once in a while. I'm not having the same quantity that I would normally eat. It used to be that the whole dish was that plus the chopped meat just, and we're ready to go in. Gotta do it carefully. I put it kind of all at once so it cooks even and it doesn't take very long. Uh-oh, there's a dog. Django, go to your bed. It's not loud in here. Okay. Pretty much leave it alone, but I do like to make sure that they're separating. Okay, all that white is the flour that I used to make sure they didn't stick together while I was heating the water. Could have had the water ready to go, but I was trying to time everything to come out at once. Cook literally like a couple more minutes and it'll be done. All right, and this is the finished product, although I did put more sauce on. It's actually left over from tonight's dinner. So this is the regular pasta that I made, which this would be perfect for Joanna for tomorrow night. John did not like the butternut squash, unfortunately. No, this is not Joshua's, it just is his container. This is jam-packed full, but this is plenty for me tomorrow, along with some chopped meat, which there's plenty of. I have more peppers, so I'm gonna make stuffed peppers again tomorrow. I know it's like, well, I make the same thing twice in a row, but because I can. But the only thing I'm gonna do different is make my homemade ricotta cheese. And that I will be recording as the only part of tomorrow's meal, which will be different. So stay tuned. Bye-bye.